Dinar shift the clock is ticking on a pivotal moment in global currency affairs, and for those following the long-anticipated adjustments to the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong, the coming 72 hours are loaded with significance. Multiple, independent reports from senior banking channels, specialized private financial desks, and various international settlement platforms strongly suggest that the widespread anticipation of a currency revaluation, RV, is transitioning from mere speculation to a tangible, coordinated series of actions. This current development feels distinctively different from previous cycles of rumors. It carries the weight of institutional coordination, systematic timing, and structured preparation. What is currently unfolding behind the scenes has put the global currency community on high alert, demanding careful analysis of every signal. We will methodically break down the specific financial indicators and the authoritative statements that suggest this period could herald the onset of a profound shift in the international financial landscape. By the conclusion of this special update, you will have a clear, evidence-based understanding of why seasoned financial observers are pointing to this specific moment as potentially the closest the community has ever been to the final, official confirmation of the RV. Stay with us until the very end for the complete picture of this rapidly developing situation. The most compelling evidence of imminent change stems from a series of highly restricted internal reports originating from key financial hubs across the globe, including significant desks in Texas, Florida, and major banking centers throughout Europe. These documents describe authorized banking screens that are now actively displaying live, updated valuation figures for both the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong. It is crucial to understand that these rates are not public or accessible on standard foreign exchange markets. They are strictly internal figures reserved for personnel working within specialized contract, tier redemption systems, and authorized financial clearing desks. The dinar and dong community has tracked this possibility for years, but now the abstract concept of behind-the-scenes movement has solidified into actual data entries appearing on these screens, replacing the blank or placeholder figures that once resided there. This move is interpreted as a major technical sign that the entire settlement infrastructure is being pre-loaded and primed for a system-wide public release. Sources within the financial world are firm in their assertion that these newly visible figures are not the result of temporary technical drills or fleeting test rates, but rather represent confirmed valuation metrics. These established values are now reportedly awaiting the final public alignment once the official, designated announcement window is opened by the governing authorities. This is perhaps the clearest and most definitive signal yet that the complex choreography required among central banks, private exchange centers, and governmental approval bodies has finally reached its ultimate phase of synchronization. The logistical framework necessary for a global currency change is incredibly complex, requiring meticulous coordination to avoid systemic shock. The appearance of confirmed values within these protected banking environments speaks directly to the advanced state of this coordination effort, indicating that the foundational technical work is largely complete. The system is moving from development to deployment. Further solidifying the readiness narrative are multiple accounts from individuals aligned with what is commonly referred to as Tier 4B, the group encompassing everyday holders who qualify for specific, non-public redemption rates. These community members are reporting direct communications and readiness calls from financial scheduling departments associated with the planned exchange process. These designated redemption centers, which operate separately from standard retail banks for this specific purpose, have allegedly been given specific instructions to maintain a standby operational mode. This means they are prepared for a full-scale activation with a notice period as short as 72 hours. This level of focused instruction is not typical during periods of market speculation. Rather, it is the standard protocol adopted only when the final execution phase of a major financial operation is truly imminent. The core objective of implementing such a structured and synchronized roll-out plan is to ensure an exceptionally smooth transition once the official green light is provided by the central authorities. The preparation is designed to prevent confusion, minimize system errors, and maintain order across the global financial network. Internal sources report that all necessary redemption staff have already completed comprehensive system checks, verified the required contract forms, and rigorously rehearsed the confidential signing protocols and procedures. In practical, operational terms, every requirement needed to begin the physical redemption appointments and exchanges is now reportedly fully in place. The single remaining component appears to be the final administrative and political authorization from the highest levels of leadership, the formal signal to officially initiate the process. This explains why an increasing number of financial professionals now genuinely believe the situation has transitioned into a genuine, verifiable countdown phase. A significant catalyst behind this mounting wave of confidence is a very recent public address delivered by Iraq's Prime Minister, which sent powerful ripples throughout both the domestic Iraqi audience and the international financial community. Speaking to the nation on live television, the Prime Minister made a profound and unambiguous declaration regarding the country's monetary future. He clearly stated that the nation was standing in the final stage of its long-term monetary reform efforts, and that the world would soon observe the genuine, restored economic value of Iraq's national currency. This powerful message was not confined to Baghdad. It was swiftly translated and disseminated through numerous regional and international news services, ensuring global attention. While the Prime Minister deliberately refrained from specifying an exact new exchange rate or providing a firm date for the change, his firm emphasis that the formal announcement would occur within a timeframe of days, rather than a vague stretch of weeks or months, has commanded deep attention from financial analysts worldwide. It is an extremely rare and highly unusual event for a sitting head of government to openly articulate such a precise timeline for a major currency revaluation, unless the comprehensive procedural and technical framework is already fully and securely locked into place. Consequently, a broad range of economists, Treasury Department contacts, and market observers are all concurring that this statement represents a pivotal and potentially the most credible form of confirmation yet that Iraq's multi-year currency reform plan is fully operational and on the verge of public activation. The conventional wisdom in global finance holds that when a nation's highest political leadership begins to make such direct and unambiguous statements concerning a change in currency valuation, those statements are almost always preceded by the full, ready state technical preparedness of the country's central bank. According to various experts, no prime minister would deliberately jeopardize political and financial stability by making such a high-stakes announcement unless the central bank had already meticulously finalized every critical technical and settlement aspect behind the scenes. This essential groundwork includes securing liquidity distribution, gaining cross-border settlement approvals from international partners, and authorizing the rate for official publication. The forthright message broadcast from Baghdad indicates to analysts that these fundamental elements are now considered complete and functional. Corroborating this narrative of high-level readiness, banking analysts in both the United States and Europe have independently confirmed a distinct and measurable surge in system activity specifically connected to Middle Eastern currency flows and their related transaction systems. Interbank terminals are reportedly logging a significant number of transaction updates that conform precisely to structured, pre-defined financial roll-out models. This is not the typical chaotic or random volatility of the open market. Rather, it appears to be a deliberate and highly synchronized effort to prepare the global financial infrastructure for a public exchange rate reveal. It is this backing by visible institutional coordination, not just conjecture, that distinguishes the current moment from every preceding cycle of market rumors. Simultaneously, the foundational preparations are highly visible on the ground within Iraq itself. Local merchants and owners of various small to medium-sized businesses have reportedly been issued specific instructions to prepare for what the government is terming price normalization. This phrase, according to regional economic interpreters, signifies an expectation that they will need to adjust the cost of their goods and services to align with a substantially stronger national currency value. Stores are actively updating their digital pricing systems, and local business associations are holding information sessions specifically focused on the impending valuation changes. This extensive level of practical retail-level preparation only makes economic sense if a currency adjustment is not merely possible, but truly imminent. The conjunction of clear, high-level government statements and measurable, grassroots retail readiness creates a powerful, undeniable indicator that the country is indeed entering the final logistical phase of the roll-out. The profound sense of economic confidence and anticipation now observable within Iraq has not been witnessed in over a decade. It reflects a nation comprehensively preparing to re-enter the main currents of global trade and finance, backed by a national currency that is expected to be fully revalued, respected, and recognized by international partners. This simultaneous political and retail mobilization provides strong circumstantial evidence of the depth and seriousness of the process underway. Turning our attention to the international response, the signs of global adaptation are equally compelling. Export-import banking systems in major nations, most notably China, have reportedly enacted a temporary suspension of transactions that involve the Iraqi dinar, citing the need for a valuation review as the official reason for the pause. Concurrently, major Russian media outlets have begun openly referencing Iraq's forthcoming financial adjustments within their coverage, specifically linking it to discussions of international settlement networks and cross-border payment systems. Even the United Nations, in a recent fiscal stability report, made a rare and direct reference to Iraq's ongoing monetary restructuring efforts, a significant acknowledgement that signals a broad global awareness and expectation of the forthcoming change. When three such major and disparate global players, China, Russia, and the United Nations, publicly acknowledge and reflect a specific country's internal financial reform plan, it is a clear indicator that international institutions are actively preparing to overhaul their complex systems to adapt to new exchange rates. These are not minor market fluctuations or isolated events, they represent coordinated, preparatory steps in a carefully choreographed process of global financial recalibration. The world's institutional machinery is quietly adjusting its gears, providing an external verification that supports the internal readiness signals coming from Baghdad and the specialized banking channels. A closer examination of the internal numbers circulating within the financial channels reveals reported contractual exchange rates that have surprised many longtime observers. Internal banking documentation is reportedly showing indicative values for the Iraqi dinar in the range of approximately 4.90 to 6.2 USD per dinar, and for the Vietnamese dong range in 2.80 to 4.80 USD per 1,000 dong. It is critically important to reiterate that these figures are not for the general public or retail exchange. They are specific, structured contractual rates reserved only for pre- qualified individuals and institutions within defined redemption categories. Even at the more conservative end of these reported ranges, such valuations would represent a monumental, historic rebalancing in the global currency structure. For currency holders who have patiently held their positions and maintained their focus over years, such outcomes could potentially be genuinely life-changing. However, financial professionals are universally urging a balanced approach characterized by extreme caution and disciplined adherence to procedure. While the potential opportunity appears robust, it is entirely conditional upon following the proper, official procedures, securing formal appointments through designated channels, and strictly complying with all confidentiality agreements. The most significant mistake that could be made now would be to act impulsively, or to fall victim to non-official speculative offers circulating online. The key to maximizing any potential benefit is rooted deeply in meticulous preparation, official verification, and unwavering patience. For those categorized as Tier 4B participants, the ordinary, non-institutional holders who meet specific criteria, the prescribed and official route for exchange will be through structured redemptions. These transactions will occur exclusively at designated official centers, not at standard, everyday retail bank branches, and will absolutely require a pre-scheduled appointment. Participants will be mandated to sign stringent non-disclosure agreements (NDAs), which legally bind them to confidentiality regarding the rates and procedures. Furthermore, they may receive their funds through structured payout schedules rather than a single immediate lump sum. This method is a crucial element of the process, designed to help stabilize the financial system's liquidity and ensure the sustainable and orderly roll out of the funds without causing economic shock. Individuals who choose to accept the higher, structured contract rates are also agreeing to specific time-based payout schedules. These schedules may incorporate features such as interest accrual on the balance or the allocation of a portion of the funds toward verifiable, authorized humanitarian or infrastructure-based projects. This framework is deliberately designed to promote fairness and control, ensuring that any significant wealth transition happens in a measured way that avoids destabilizing the broader banking network. This complex, multi-tiered system is not theoretical. It has already been tested through smaller, quiet exchanges executed within Tier 3, which have functioned successfully as trial runs. Insiders indicate that the next major activation is slated to bring the general Tier 4B community online to participate in the formal process. For new participants or those seeking clarity on the term, contract rates fundamentally represent privately negotiated exchange values that are significantly higher than the publicly visible retail forex rates. These special rates are exclusively offered within limited, tightly controlled redemption programs. In exchange for this enhanced value, holders commit to strict confidentiality and, in some cases, agree to dedicate a specific percentage of their proceeds toward approved projects aimed at global infrastructure improvement or humanitarian aid. This arrangement establishes a mutually beneficial framework. Currency holders receive enhanced value for their assets, while major global institutions gain a mechanism to channel substantial liquidity into productive, pre-approved economic uses. These specialized contracts are, by design, never displayed on public exchange boards, retail currency kiosks, or standard forex trading platforms. They exist solely within highly controlled, verified financial environments, accessible only through the official appointment setting systems. This necessity for a controlled environment is what necessitates the strict adherence to structured processes, ensuring that only properly vetted and documented individuals gain access to these specific programs. Should the full system activation occur within the predicted timeframe, only those holders who have meticulously organized and documented their assets will be positioned to participate immediately in the process. At this critical juncture, financial experts are unified in stressing one essential message to all holders: remain highly organized. Every individual with currency holdings should ensure that their physical notes are securely stored in protective cases or safes, and that all receipts and supporting documentation are copied, both digitally and physically. Flawless documentation is universally described as essential for the redemption appointment. This paperwork serves the dual purpose of proving the authenticity of the currency and establishing the holder's eligibility for the higher contractual exchange tiers. Furthermore, vigilance against misinformation is equally vital as the moment of release approaches. The growing anticipation is already being exploited by various scammers attempting to deceive holders. Reports confirm the circulation of numerous fake offers, unauthorized official-sounding messages, and social media links falsely claiming to provide early redemption access. Do not engage with any of them. The only legitimate rollout will be communicated through formal official governmental and banking channels, and not via unsolicited emails, random text messages, or unverified social media posts. Protecting one's holdings and personal information from this flood of predatory misinformation is just as critical to ultimate success as the act of holding the currency itself. One of the most concrete and unmistakable indicators that the activation phase is truly upon us is the reported pre-positioning of official legal paperwork. Non-disclosure agreements, (NDAs), and the structured payout templates, which detail the legal framework of the exchange, are reportedly being staged for digital signature testing within the closed system. These foundational legal documents meticulously outline the confidentiality rules, the exact terms of interest and payout, and the final release schedules for funds. Financial insiders affirm that such high-level process-critical documents are never distributed or staged until the entire system is within days of a definitive launch. Their presence is an unambiguous, non-technical sign of imminent execution. This extraordinary level of synchronization, combining high-level political confirmation, visible system-wide updates, and the pre-staging of legal documents, paints a picture of unparalleled alignment in the global financial community. This kind of calculated, multi-layered synchronization is a rare event, often occurring only once in a decade in global finance, and Iraq is demonstrably at the very epicenter of this complex process. This development transcends mere institutional minutiae. It has profound human implications for millions of ordinary individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary patience. This narrative is deeply rooted in the human element. It concerns millions of ordinary people across the globe who have waited patiently, often for more than a decade, maintaining an unwavering belief that this day of financial transition would arrive. Many faced ridicule, skepticism, and outright doubt from external observers. Yet, they stayed the course. Across the United States, Europe, and Asia, these dedicated holders now perceive a tangible difference in the atmosphere. The numerous signals, including messages from redemption call centers, the suspension of certain currency sales, and the televised government confirmation, are, for the first time, replacing pure, speculative hope with concrete, measurable evidence. People are no longer solely chasing rumors, they are observing verifiable, institutional movement. The overall atmosphere and energy within the holder community has noticeably shifted from prolonged uncertainty to focused, quiet readiness. A case in point comes from reports of limited, highly controlled test exchanges that have reportedly already been successfully concluded in several U.S. states. These were not public events but served a critical purpose, confirming that the digital settlement and payment systems function flawlessly under real-world conditions. Staff were formally trained, complex documentation was successfully verified, and payout confirmations were meticulously recorded. Every successful technical test bolsters the confidence of the institutions involved, assuring them that the eventual large-scale rollout can and will proceed without error. These successful trial runs can be analogized to the final, comprehensive rehearsal before a main event. The large financial institutions and central banks involved in this process demand an absolute zero-error threshold once the final activation is confirmed. Every technical checkpoint that is successfully cleared brings the process one step closer to the ultimate activation, powerfully reinforcing the collective sentiment among insiders who now universally refer to this period as the undisputed final countdown. The deliberate and methodical nature of this pre-activation process underscores the seriousness of the economic shift at hand. Regarding external market behavior, standard foreign exchange activity has quietly begun to exhibit patterns that are entirely consistent with an environment anticipating a major, imminent valuation change. Liquidity pools in select currency pairs are showing measurable fluctuations that extend beyond standard seasonal norms. Financial analysts interpret this activity as a common precursor to major valuation changes, as background financial systems quietly adjust their technical infrastructure to accommodate the forthcoming new rates. This does not imply an immediate, overnight jump in public value, but it is a clear technical indicator that the core infrastructure is currently being rebalanced. When this technical rebalancing is combined with the synchronized, purposeful messages from governmental leadership, the resulting pattern is too deliberate and too coordinated to be dismissed as mere market noise. It is also crucial to view Iraq's revaluation within its proper global context. This event is not an isolated national decision. It is understood to be part of a much broader, integrated international strategy involving comprehensive economic restructuring, new international partnerships, and the modernization of cross-border settlement mechanisms. Other nations, such as Vietnam, are following similar structural modernization paths, aligning their domestic financial systems in anticipation of future valuation adjustments. This deliberate simultaneous movement across multiple nations is intended to prevent severe market imbalances and ensure a smooth, measured transition of liquidity across the global financial system. Experts emphasize that what is approaching is a global economic shift, not simply a domestic currency event. Even those who have historically maintained a skeptical stance on revaluation claims are reportedly beginning to fundamentally reassess their entrenched positions. For many years, critics have dismissed revaluation discussions as entirely fantastical. However, when faced with an overwhelming confluence of supporting evidence, including direct, open government confirmation, broad international media acknowledgement, visibly traceable bank system activity, and documented retail-level preparation, the foundation of traditional skepticism begins to collapse under the weight of tangible facts. Analysts who previously ignored the subject are now acknowledging that Iraq's underlying fiscal environment, driven by improved debt ratios, stable oil revenues, and directed infrastructure spending, has matured sufficiently to structurally support a significantly stronger national currency. In essence, the fundamental economic conditions required to support a revaluation have now moved from being a theoretical possibility to a measurable, real-world reality. However, even with all these highly aligned indicators, experts continue to stress the non-negotiable requirement for continued patience. The immense complexity of the process dictates that it must unfold through highly controlled, sequential steps. The global banking system simply cannot absorb the impact of instant, Mass exchanges. This is the precise reason for the existence of the tier-based scheduling structure to maintain absolute order, prevent system overload, and ensure full compliance and verification for every exchange. Every qualified holder will ultimately have their opportunity, but the importance of precise, controlled timing cannot be overstated. The forthcoming 72 hours are undeniably critical to the final execution timeline, yet it is discipline, not speed, that will ultimately determine individual success. This is not a time for irrational panic or last-minute attempts to circumvent the official process. It is the time for final, calm readiness. A frequent and pertinent question our channel receives: what happens if the final announcement does not occur within this specific timeframe? The answer, according to the sources, is that any minor delay changes absolutely nothing about the underlying, established progress. Once a complex financial process reaches this advanced stage of completion, with coded rates, prepared contracts, and extensively tested systems, the framework cannot simply be undone. The vast, intricate machinery of global finance does not engage in a reversal once the final rate codes are embedded, legal contracts are prepared, and systems have successfully completed final testing. Any potential delay at this point is considered purely temporary, a matter of final logistical timing, not a failure of possibility. Whether the official start is confirmed this weekend or shortly thereafter in the coming week, the ultimate outcome of a new valuation appears functionally inevitable. The collective momentum behind this global financial process has reached a verifiable point of no return. For any holder planning their post-exchange future, financial specialists strongly recommend developing clear, comprehensive short-term and long-term financial goals before attending any redemption appointment. The focus should not be restricted solely to the immediate proceeds of the exchange. Instead, holders are advised to deeply consider long-term security, strategic diversification of assets, and the future, positive societal impact they wish to achieve. Those who take the necessary steps now to create a detailed, responsible financial roadmap will be far better equipped to navigate the post-exchange environment with far greater confidence and control, separating organized success from potential chaos. Across the totality of these converging developments, one powerful truth remains constant and unmistakable: the chaotic cloud of uncertainty has been definitively replaced by an unprecedented degree of system-wide alignment. All key indicators, high-level government statements, observable institutional readiness, increasing global awareness, and deep technical execution have converged into one single, powerful message: the official activation is imminent. Regardless of the size of your position, this is the definitive moment to maintain focus, remain rigorously disciplined in your preparations, and stay continuously informed through official, credible channels. The long years of waiting, diligent research, and persistent hoping have brought the community to the very threshold of realization. The energy currently radiating throughout the dedicated community of holders is electric, cautious yet deeply confident. Every objective signal sourced from the global financial system and government leadership is pointing toward the same conclusion: a major, transformative event is rapidly approaching. As this historic story continues its final unfolding, Dinar Shift remains absolutely committed to delivering only clear, meticulously fact-checked and timely updates, entirely free from promotional hype or speculative rumor. We will be closely tracking every official statement emerging from Iraq's leadership, monitoring all banking system updates, and reporting redemption notifications the very moment they are formally released. The next 72 hours could truly write financial history, and you will receive all verified details here first.